And the ahadith of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salati was salam inform us that there was no one from the first of creation, Adam, until the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and until today there was no one worthy of marrying Lady Fatima other than Amir al-Mu'mineen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. Which shows us that behind the marriage of Lady Fatima and Amir al-Mu'mineen had a greater meaning than a symbolic marriage that took place between two individuals. And this brings us to one of the important topics, that when I go out to choose a wife, or when I go out to choose a husband, who do I look for? And are there negative reasons to get married? And are there positive reasons to get married? And what do I as a youth need to prepare for when it comes to seeking marriage? Inshallah, we will answer these questions tonight. In relation to the first question, why should we get married? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam in a hadith says that whoever gets married has protected half of his religion. فَلْيَتَّقِ اللَّهِ فِي النِّصْفِ الْآخَرِ. Whoever gets married, protect half of their religion, and then let them have piety in the other half. And this very beautifully opens up another door to us. When we look at Shaitan and the way that he works, his role is to break between the husband and the wife. Why is that? Very beautifully, one of our ulama has commentary on this. He says that the reason why Shaitan focuses more on trying to break the marriage of a husband and a wife is because them getting married, they have protected their religion. And Shaitan doesn't want one's religion to be protected, so he focuses on breaking the marriage of those that are married. And there is a hadith that will show you this one day. The ahadith of the Ahlul Bayt explain to us that Shaitan has certain people that are close, other shayateen that are extremely close to him. There are ranks in being a devil. So the tradition says to us that one day one of the devils comes to the great one, to the Shaitan, and they say to him, to Iblis, and they say to him that today we caused for an individual to commit adultery. In order for them to seek closeness to Iblis, they have to wreck and destroy people's futures and their potentials and their relationships with Allah. So he says, today I convinced an individual to commit adultery. So then Iblis says to them, is that it? They say yes. He says, no, this is an ordinary thing. Another one of the shayateen comes to Iblis. Oh Iblis, today I convinced a person to drink alcohol. So I want to get closer to you through this action. He says, is that it? He says, yes. He says, this isn't something big. Another shaitan comes to Iblis and he says to him, today I broke between a husband and his wife. I entered in between them. One small problem became a big problem, and they have now separated. So Iblis says to him, you are the one that I like. That you were able to break between the husband and the wife. Why is that? Because this environment of marriage is sacred. In relation to being very precise with who you marry, and this is something that I want to speak to my brothers and my sisters in this majlis. Not every individual that comes to ask for your hand is worthy of you getting married to. And same thing for the brothers. Not every woman that you see in society is worthy for you to take her as your wife. Why is this? Because the concept of marriage in the Islamic system is one that brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says, they are a garment to you. Your garment protects you. Your garment takes care of you. In the hadith, the Imam alayhi salam says, a woman is like a necklace that you wear. So be accurate in what you put around your neck. Which means, not every woman that you see you get married to, mashallah, she looks beautiful and we would suit each other, so let me get married to her. The hadith says your wife is attached to you. If you marry an individual that isn't close to Allah, then do not think that through you getting married, you will get close to Allah. Your role in marriage, my brothers and sisters, its ultimate goal should be the pleasure of Allah. Not the pleasure of your family, not the pleasure of yourself. The pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then the hadith says, a good woman, her value is not gold or silver. She is better than gold or silver. If you find you that halal girl, as we say, bintul halal, that girl that is chaste, that girl that has affa, that girl that has haya, the Imam says, if you find a wife like this, then she is better than gold or silver. How much is a kilo of gold today? Around 125,000 Australian dollars, probably more. The Imam says a woman is better than gold or silver if you choose the correct woman. In another hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi was asked, who should I marry my daughter to? Should I marry him because he has big muscles? Should I marry him to my daughter because he's a doctor? Should I marry him to my daughter because he has a very good career ahead of him? This is something that our society today is going through, and many of you here are fathers that have daughters, and with all due respect to you, my older brothers, you need to take into consideration the society that you are living in. The hadith says, marry your daughter to a righteous man, not to a millionaire, not to a man that has a great potential in a career ahead of him. Marry your daughter off to a righteous man. And then the hadith says, for if he loves her, he will honor her. If you marry your daughter to an honorable man and he loves her, then he will honor your daughter. And if he hates her, at least he will not wrong her. Because a man that has taqwa will not harm anyone, even if they don't like them. In another hadith that speaks about the importance of being compatible with one another. And this is where let's open a can of worms, as they say. Someone wants to go and marry a woman, right? Is he capable of marrying this woman or not? If he has the ability, he marries her. Are they compatible with one another or not? And this is an issue that we see today. We see husband and wives, people getting married to one another, and when you look at their entire marriage and then they come to get divorced, from the start you say, well, you guys were not compatible with one another from the start. It's like a religious woman wanting to marry a non-religious man. There's no compatibility. It's like a religious man that wants to marry a non-religious woman. There is no compatibility. This is an issue that the shabab fall into. And I know probably many of us fall into this. Sheikhna, today she's not religious, but inshallah, when we get married and the aqd is done, inshallah, she promised me that she will put the hijab on. This, my brothers and sisters, is an issue. What dhaman do you have? What certainty do you have that if your son or if you as a boy were to marry a woman that doesn't wear hijab, she will put the hijab on after marriage? There is no certainty that this will take place. Your humble servant, have seen instances in marriages when a man marries a non-hijabi and she said to him, I will put the hijab on. A year later, they come to the Sheikh, we want to get divorced. Why? Because she is refusing to wear the hijab. Sister, you said that you were going to wear the hijab. You know what she says? He married me without a hijab. It's his fault. Yeah, but you promised. A promise is a promise. This is an issue. Your Muslim identity, shabab, I beg you, listen to me. Your Muslim identity is important. Tara, you're not here to live and have fun. You're here to live, to worship the one that created you. You're here to worship Allah. And Allah gave you the halal means to worship Him. And gave you these halal ways for you to get rid of the lust that you have. Be careful. The Imam alayhi salam says, إِيَّاكُمْ وَخَضْرَاءُ الدَّمٍ. وقيل يا رسول الله وما خضراء الدم؟ قال الامرأة الحسناء في منبئ سوء. Be careful. Do not get married, and likewise to the sisters as well. Do not get married to an individual that comes from a corrupt environment. As we have إن الخال أحد الضجيعين عندنا بالمصطلح المعروف, I think. There is this thing that says that the uncle, the wife's brother, will have an impact on the genes of your son. This is why sometimes some of our sons look like their khal, their mother's brother. Because he has this impact. Be careful who you marry. I hear that there are shabab, mashallah. I've traveled all around the world. Some shabab, they leave their religion, they leave everything for a woman that they liked. Allahu Akbar. For what? For what? You know what you are losing on? You are losing this precious connection between you and Allah for a woman. To hell with her. To hell with him. So the hadith says, marry those who are compatible and accept marriage by all those who are compatible with you. And choose wisely for your offspring. You need to choose wisely. Don't only think about yourself, think about your future children that are going to come. Think about your children. One of the greatest advices that I heard from one of the ulama. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Shabab, just pay attention. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. I will give you this advice that I heard from one of the ulama. They said to me that if you wanted to get married, always have this equation where? In your head. Have this equation where? In your head. If this woman that I am going to marry, and Allah grants me a daughter, let's say after 1 year you pass away. Are you certain that this woman that you married will raise your daughter the same way that you would raise her or not? Will your wife raise the daughter that you want, or will she raise you a daughter that Allahu A'lam where she's going to end up? This is very important. Choosing a woman is important. Likewise for the sisters, choose a man that will raise your son to be a man. Now there are reasons why people get married, and these are issues. And inshallah, if time permits, we will get through them. The reason why some people get married is, number one, they feel unhappy. So the reason why they want to get married is to feel happy. Another one is some people get married because they don't want to feel lonely. Another one is to solve their financial problems. Another one is marriage will help me escape and give me more freedom and independence. These are all facades that we think marriage is. Marriage shouldn't be approached if you feel lonely and you want to get married to fill that void. Marriage shouldn't be done if you are poor and you want to get married to this individual so he gives you more financial freedom. Another one is that there is family pressure, that your family is forcing you to get married and you don't want to get married. And this is a problem today. I don't know how popular it is in this country, but I know it's very popular back home. That sometimes the parents force the daughter to marry someone she doesn't want to marry, based on the opinion of our fuqaha, our ulama, that if a woman is forced to marry another man and she is not happy, then the aqd from the start is batil. Which means the children that happen from that marriage are awlad. شنو أولاد شنو؟ أولاد شبهة. This is very important. The daughter needs to be or needs to give consent for this man to marry her. That's one point. Sometimes our shabab say, I want to marry her because she is beautiful. And I will work on her even if I have to spend everything I have. I want to work on her so she becomes religious. Because her beauty is, mashallah, something else. The hadith says, one who marries a woman must not marry her for the sole purpose of her beauty. And if a man marries a woman for her wealth, Allah will make him dependent on her money, will make him a dhalil. Now we come to the positive reasons. Inshallah, let's enlighten our mood from the angriness to the happiness. Reasons why we should get married. Number one, we have common values between us. We share common interests. We have the same picture drawn for our future. At the end of the day, you are two different people that came from two different families that have two different environments. Being different is normal. None of your fingers are the same. Allah didn't create a splitting or a splitting image of you as a woman. This is incorrect. Allah created you two as two different individuals. However, if you have common values and common interests, this will build and prosper the marriage. Another one is that you need to have common long-term and short-term goals. Number three, you need to have the same spiritual belief. And please, shabab, listen to this one point. You need to marry someone that has the same spiritual belief as you. I don't know if I should open the can of worms of sushi marriages, or should I leave it? What do you think? Should I mention sushi marriages or should I leave it? صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Mushkila, I don't want to get into trouble with anyone, that's why. We have an issue in society where we have Shia individuals marrying Sunni individuals and Sunni individuals marrying Shia individuals. Based on my experience, this form of marriage, my experience saying that I have seen other instances, I have seen that the children that are raised in this environment have a form of spiritual identity loss. Do you know why? If you were to mention, usually when this happens, it's from two individuals that are not religious. But later on, when the child grows up, the child needs to choose a path. Either I'm going to become a Sunni or a Shi'i. Are you willing, my brothers and my sisters, are you willing to lose your son or your daughter to another sect just because you fell in love with her or him? Tara, you know what you are selling. You are selling Amir al-Mu'mineen. You are selling Imam al-Hussein. Shaykhna, but they all love the Ahlul Bayt, without a doubt. Ask them, who would you stand on the battle of Jamal, Aisha or Ali? These are important, my brothers and sisters. It's your son, it's your children that will pay the price. This is why our ulama and our fuqaha have deemed it dislike to do such a thing. Because it breaks between the family. I know, maybe I should have mentioned this. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Let me mention it, and if I get in trouble, I'll get in trouble. I'll just slap it on the chin. I know a Shi'i individual, a Shi'i girl, came to one of our teachers. I was present. She said to him, Shaykhana, I am having issues with my husband. Khair, why? I am now pregnant and I'm due to give birth to my son. And still, till now, only a few weeks before we give birth, we haven't been able to come to a mutual name that we want to name our son. Okay. So what's the issue? She says to him, Shaykhna, my husband wants to name my son Umar. And I am a Shi'iyya. I can't accept such a name in my life. And ta'al, try to sort this issue out. It's an issue that you need to understand. You as a boy, you as a girl need to understand that you will pay a price one day. Let's come to everyone's favorite topic, the mahar. The mahar is a very important issue that all of us have in society. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أفضل نساء أمتي أقلهن مهرا. The greatest women in my ummah are those that ask for the least in mahar. I have one of our teachers, he did a aqd between a boy and a girl, and qasaman billah wa ala mimbar al-mawla, the mahar for her was a house. A house as a mahar. In Sydney, over $1 million for a woman. There's no more women left. It's, my brothers and sisters, to the fathers, if you want your daughter to marry a man that is pious, without a doubt, it's your haqq to ask for her mahar. And a woman that has a mahar in the eyes of a man is a woman that is respected, that her family asked something for her. Do not give your daughter away cheaply. No one said anything about that. But at the same time, look at the environment. Shaykhna, but inflation and the wedding dress is 20 grand and Allahu Akbar, baqa'a is this much. Who said do all of this? The greatest of women are those that have a reasonable amount of mahar. So I ask the fathers to have mercy upon the shabab in our ummah, to not ask for such a high amount. إن جاءكم من ترضون دينه وخلقه فزوجوه فإن لم تفعلوا تكن فتنة في الأرض. If you do not marry the righteous man to your daughter, there will be a fitna on earth. And then they say, Shaykhna, my daughter is 30 and she's not married. It's important, shabab. بس دقيقتين معذرة شيخنا. Last point. Right now, and forgive me for saying this, please forgive me for saying this. Right now, our community is filled with boys and not men. And I will say that, and I believe that. Our community today, they're filled with boys, not men. What type of man runs after a woman on social media? With all due respect to my brothers and sisters. What man goes after a woman on social media just to fill his desires and his cravings. And then he ends up ruining her life for some temporary satisfaction. And then the boys say, Sheikh, you know the women today, Wallah al-Azim, they've just lost their way. Oh, you are the reason why they've lost their way, Ya akhi. The amount of no ghira that is in the society today. He goes to the gym, mashallah, Arnold Schwarzenegger and all of these muscles and everything. Ya akhi, ghira, having ghira on your wife. Like the chicken has ghira over his wife. The chicken, read books. And the deek has more ghira over his wife than some of the men today. Shabab, please. You are a rajal, you have a mustache. Have sharaf, have haya. Be careful of the daughters of other people. They are not objects for you to go play around and enjoy your desire. These are daughters of respectable people. Don't give them this attention, my brothers and sisters. It's very important. Inshallah ta'ala. If I upset you, I'm very sorry, but you have 4 wars. Hit your head on one of those 4 wars. Allah yahfadkum inshallah. Allahumma ajjal li waliyyika al-faraj. وامن علينا برضاه وهب لنا رأفته ورحمته ودعاءه وصلى الله على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.